Hey guys, it's Jeff. Welcome back to another video. Today's amp is a Friedman Runt 50. I got this head a couple of months ago and I've been very much falling in love with it. It's a wonderful amp. Most of you know me as a Boogie guy. I've got my Boogie JP2C and I've got a couple of other Boogies along the wall over here. But recently I've been digging more of the vintage vibe and more British vibe out of some of the amps. And you can see the JCM 800, which was the last video I did, that kind of arrived into the fold a couple months ago, and I've just been kind of loving that kind of lower end response that a lot of these amps bring. And the Runt 50 is a great amp for that kind of a selection there. What I want to do with this video is I want to run it through some clean tones on how I use them. I do a lot of chorus and delay and kind of open bell chimey kind of stuff. And notice I have a John Petrucci model here that I'm going to be running through it. I'm more of a Petrucci-like kind of player, at least in my head I am. And I want to run some tones through it that kind of sound like that. So we'll do some clean tones with those kind of settings, and then we'll do some crunch and lead that sees that we can maybe push some more gain through it, through the tube screamer and my pedal board, and maybe get some lead tones that kind of have some really great harmonic response over the top of it. So quick walkthrough of my settings on the clean tone. The clean volume, that's set pretty low right now, maybe a 1.5, maybe a 2. It's a loud amp. It's a really loud amp for 50 watts. So, and especially through the 212 cab, it just has a ton of low end and there's a ton of volume coming out of this thing. The bright switch is all the way over to the left-hand side. And then the bass is at, that looks to me more like a 6.5, 7. And the treble is up pretty high. And then I have the presence set at this amp around like 7.5, 8 too. I really like a brighter voicing overall. And first let's do the kind of a stock clean tone. Oh, the other thing too, and I guess this is the only real bone to pick I have with this amp, is that there's no onboard reverb. And to me, when you're getting into the realm of amps costing $1,500, $2,000, even higher than that, and there's no reverb built into it from that point, I don't find it inexcusable, but it's just like every time, like, come on, man, like add a reverb tank. I know there's a lot going on in there, but just add a reverb tank. You know, a lot of us like reverb, and I'm one of them. So what I'm doing is I'm running reverb through, I have a TC Electronics Nova system down on the floor here going into the effects loop. And that's where all my chorus and delays, and the reverb is always on so that I can have that on the back end here. So you'll hear the reverb through it that way. But first let's just go through a reasonably dry clean tone with a little bit of reverb on it, and you'll get an idea of what the natural amp is. And then I'll do the chorus and delay after that. So here's this. Sorry, my jack's getting a little screwy on this guitar, unfortunately, but it's a really bright and nice clean tone as far as I'm concerned. But when I play clean, I like a lot of chorus and a lot of delay on top of it, particularly with the JP6, because it has the two coils split right here in the middle, and it's also hum canceling, so it's got a really cool scooped kind of tone out of it. So let's add some chorus and some delay and leave it in that middle section on the JP6, and we can kind of hear what that sounds like. I'm absolutely in love with that tone. It's the exact kind of bell-like, almost Roland JC120 kind of tone out of it. That's just absolutely fantastic. So now I think, as far as a pedal platform too, this amp's great because of how clean and how crisp that tone is. You can run a lot of stuff out front, and if I throw the Tube Screamer onto it with this same position here, gets a really nice breakup onto it. If I throw it into the bridge pickup, that's awesome. You know, that it just makes this amp so much more versatile when it's a good pedal platform like that. So that's the clean channel. Let's jump over to the overdrive channel, and we'll do some crunch tones, we'll do some lead tones, and I might toy around with the presence knob so you can hear what the varying sounds are that way. As far as my settings on the overdrive channel, I've got the gain all the way up with the boost on, of course. Bass is around like a 7 or so. Mids are running right in the middle at 5.5 level. I've got the treble pretty high, around like 8.5, 9 or so. And then again, master presence is still pretty high up there. That's around, I want to say that's probably like a 7 or an 8, maybe a little higher than that. This amp has just an awesome vintage vibe to it. And this channel right here is one of the best overdrive channels I've ever heard, even on some of the old Plexis and things like that where you dial in the gain that way. This thing is just so naturally incredible with the tone that it gets. So here's the overdrive channel, and then we'll do some stuff to it afterwards that way. I mean, how can you argue with that, right? I mean, it's such a natural kind of tone that a lot of guys just look for in by modding amps and things like that. But there it is, right there. I mean, you don't need to go modding an old Plexi or anything like that. That's the tone right there. One thing I really like to do on this amp too is to dime, and a lot of people are going to cringe when I say this, but dime that presence knob pretty much all the way up. And it just sounds great with some of that hair on top of it that you kind of get more of like a Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2 kind of tone out of it. Here's what that sounds like. At that point, you're probably wondering, like, why boost it, right? I mean, the tone is just incredible. And if I plug my Wolfgang into it, I'm like right there in Van Halen world. And funny enough, I didn't like the Van Halen or the EVH 5153s. I wasn't crazy about getting the tone. And even when I tried to get a Van Halen tone out of it, it just didn't sound right to me. It felt too overdriven, too compressed and everything like that. But this is just so raw and so present with everything there. But with the Tube Screamer thrown in on top of that channel, the way that's set, the thing just like completely turns into a metal monster. So here's that, and then we'll throw some delay on top of it too, so you can hear what that sounds like, more of like a shred kind of tone. But here it is with like more crunch added to it on that level. You gotta turn it back on to channel 2. Sick. It's absolutely sick. Now I want to throw some delay on top of it because I love playing with a kind of a trailing delay so that I can get some harmonics involved with it and everything like that too. Let's throw that on there. I mean, like I said, how can you argue with it? So for being a basic 2-channel amp, I mean, it is definitely on the higher end, and so you're almost guaranteed to get some great tones out of it no matter what you do, but that's not necessarily true. Learn how to dial an amp properly, obviously, but for somebody that's looking for something a little bit different and they want a bass line for a good pedal platform and then a great overdrive channel naturally built into it, but you're a little nervous nervous about things that, like, I don't know if it's going to get enough gain, or I don't know if it's going to do the shred thing that I really like. You can definitely get there. You just got to add some stuff on the front of it, but by itself, it's a phenomenal amp. I can't argue with it. 98% of it is just fantastic. Like I said before, the only thing missing as far as I'm concerned is an onboard reverb, whether it's digital or you throw a reverb tank in there. But again, great amp. I'm totally in love with the thing, and I hope you enjoyed the tones that I got out of it too. So thanks for checking it out. See ya.